Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick follow-up video from our message this past Sunday. In our Exiles series, we talked about from 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. What does it mean to live as an exile inside the home, that husband-wife dynamic? And if you did not have the opportunity to listen to that message, make sure you go back and watch it off of our website or listen to it on iTunes, on the podcast. But it's a very important message in our series. And some of the feedback that we got this week is we're trying to put some of those things into action steps. Exactly how do we do that? So I wanted to address just two things as a follow-up from this past Sunday. We spent a lot of time on Sunday talking about the first 6 verses where Peter is talking specifically to wives. And the reason that he did that is because they had such a low view of women and wives in that culture. It was important for Peter to encourage and to enable those wives that were living in that context. And we touched briefly on verse 7, which is directed specifically to men, and then we kind of ran out of time. So let me reread verse 7 of 1 Peter chapter 3. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, and this was our key word, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. And we talked about that the primary role of men in this relationship is to honor their wives, to hold them in high value. And what we said is that your wife should be your highest human priority. What I did not say that I want to follow up and encourage each one of you men to do, each one of you husbands, is I want you to sit down with your wife and have that conversation with her that says, do you feel valued? Do you feel honored? Do you feel like you are the highest human priority in my life? I know as a man, I'm not always in tune with Ashley on that, so it's very important for me to sit down and understand, like the verse says, how she feels, what she's feeling in her heart and life. And if I don't ask the question, if I don't take the initiative, then sometimes that's never going to come up. So I want to challenge each one of you men to take that action step. Sit down with your wife and say to her, do you feel valued? Do you feel honored? Is there something I can do to make you feel more valued, more honored in our relationship? Is there something I am doing that I can quit doing or stop doing or change what I'm doing to make you feel valued and honored? That's an important conversation to have consistently. So men, step up, love your wives as Jesus loves the church, and have that conversation with her. And then I also want to encourage our wives out there. Some of you are married to men that have a heart for Jesus. Some of you are married to men who do not have a heart for Jesus. But what we talked about on Sunday is living that life of example, living that life in front of them that's not nagging and badgering them, but is consistent, silent life of living out Jesus. Now, here's what I want to tell you. What that does not mean is that you should not take the initiative to have that conversation with your husband. Some men are not going to take the initiative to sit down and have a meaningful conversation with you about whether you feel valued or not. So that does not mean as a wife that you just have to sit back in silence and not say anything. I want to encourage our wives out there, if you're having some feelings or some struggles in your life about feeling honored or valued from your husband, take the initiative. Say to him, that's part of that affirmation thing that we talked about. Say to him, hey, I want to have a Christ-honoring marriage. Here's some concerns that I have. Can we talk about those things? That's a way to affirm his leadership, but also to communicate to him the things that are going on in your heart. So wives, don't feel like that you can't take that initiative and can't have that conversation, that you have to somehow sit back quietly and not have that conversation. I want to encourage you, based on what we talked about Sunday, take that initiative. Say, hey, can we sit down and talk? Can we have a conversation about what's going on in our marriage? Not in a way that you're going to attack each other or berate each other, but a way that you can encourage each other to be the husband, the wife that God intended for you to be, to live out our faith as elect exiles even in the home. So that's just a couple of things that Ash and I wanted to mention to you. Again, we're on this journey together. We're not perfect. We don't have it completely figured out. We're taking steps with you, but as each of us take these steps in a Christ-honoring way, we can continue on this journey together to be the men and women that God intends us to be. Have an awesome rest of the week, and we'll see you on Sunday.